I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales. Today, we are putting the wrestling in the title. We're joined by Hall of Famer, WCW, WWE champion, and Japanese wrestling legend, Madusa. Madusa, thanks for taking the time to step in the ring here.
Hey, good morning, Gerald. It is great. I will tell you, I woke up, it was like 46 degrees in Florida. It
Oh,
was like crazy, right? And it was
yeah, that's not right.
83 during the day. So, as you men like it, like my husband, oh, it's such a great day. And I'm like running around in a hoodie. So,
I, I like it warm. I've had 13 knee surgeries from wrestling injuries, so I like it being kind of warm.
oh my gosh, you had 13,
Yeah, and all amateur wrestling. Never. I just got
right?
to talk to pro wrestlers. Never got to try it, but yeah,
Oh my God. Well, high respect for collegiate wrestling and stuff. I
yeah,
mean,
no,
pretty
crazy.
amazing. Yeah. And did you ever have a knee replacement?
No, no, but they're close.
I know.
They're
I
close.
just
They're
had
both
one
totally
like,
rebuilt.
yeah, I just had one like 5 years ago. And a year after I received my knee replacement, I did a 5K. So, I mean,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Well,
amazing.
it is
Lifesavers.
impressive now. Now, of course, people that are watching this, you were really, I think, the main influence in what you see now in modern women's professional wrestling. The run you
Oh.
had in Japan and then coming over back to the U.S. really kind of changed the game. The title of the book does make a lot of sense because, I mean, in terms of women's wrestling, you definitely were the woman who would be king, which is a great title. I'll ask you about that a little bit
Oh.
later. But
Oh, thanks.
do you see yourself as being hugely influential in what we see in women's wrestling today, along with some other women from that generation?
Well, of course, everything is history. We can never erase history. We can only learn from it. And I believe that we are definitely products of our environment, of our past, and either we like it, we don't, and if we don't, we change it, right? So
Sure.
that was my whole idea going into professional wrestling. Now, I wasn't a little girl dreaming to become a woman wrestler. I was a woman going into the nursing field and put myself through college. So, when I was introduced to the entertainment world, I was like, what are these guys doing? What are they thinking? Right. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I can do this with my jock and, gymnastic background and, track and field. I just kind of immersed myself into this. And I definitely just heard and saw my second calling because like I wanted to change the trajectory of women's wrestling as soon as I saw it because I saw the women before me and thank God for them because they were the platform and the start of the whole generations of June Byers, the Mulas, the
Mhm.
May Youngs, and it goes on and on. And they had a style of their own, and I wanted to capture that style and always learn from it and bring it forward. Just like every generation, every era of not just women's but men's, you see an evolution. So the way they dressed, the way they spoke, the way they were presented, I wanted to make it a precedence that women were here not just to look good or we were just an enhancement. I had to fight to get our names on the marquee. It was just always trying to get on there. Even trying to be like the fourth card on a WrestleMania was like never heard of,
Yeah.
you know? It was insane. And so I was like, okay. So I hit the pinnacle of my career many, many times in wrestling, which was unheard of at my time. And I thank the women and some of the men, some that believed into the women's wrestling history of then, now, and forever, basically. So
Sure.
that's kind of a motto, I believe, for WWE, which
It
is kind of
is
ironic. Yeah, wow.
together.
And yeah, together. And so I just like fast forward wrestling all those years when I was actually inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2015 in WWE. I never thought it would happen. I totally erased it because of the relationship and the infamous, throw the title in the trash
Throwing the title
situation with
away. Yeah.
yeah, in WCW. And so I never thought it would happen. I was racing monster trucks with Monster Jam and became their only two-time world women's champion there. And so my life already, I was going a different direction. And again, setting records there, doing things differently. There was never, a woman's driver. There was never a woman's champion. So when I got the call to go over to monster trucks, I was like, oh, yeah, sure. I'm an
How
adrenaline junkie. Yeah, I can do that.
how did that come about? That's
It was
I
crazy.
was going to
I'll
ask you
get to it.
about it, but it's a seemingly random move.
I'll get to it 1 second. So
Okay.
I'm in a long roundabout way. I'm getting to how, today's women's wrestling got to
Hmm.
kind of like my style. So when I was inducted into the 2015 Hall of Fame, I never even spoke to Vince or saw Vince and until that day, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like standing there at the podium with my hair in curlers, no makeup, nothing. And all of a sudden I hear is Alundra. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I knew this day. I knew it was going to happen. I knew I was going to run into him. And I haven't seen him since, 93, 4, 5, and 6, right?
Sure.
So, and I was like, wow, here it is. I turn around. He goes, you look fabulous. And I'm like, yeah, right, Vince, with my hair and curlers and whatnot. He gave me a big hug. I gave him a big hug. And the only thing that could come out of my mouth, and I was holding him tight, and I said, I'm sorry. And he's like, no worries, hey, that's the past and whatever. I mean, and so we were talking, we were standing there talking, and he's like, you're here for several reasons. And I believed in women's wrestling and I wanted it to come back when I hired you, the first time. He said, but we're in the start of something and we need women like you again in your style, I want to bring it all back because it makes sense. Basically all in those kind of those words in Vince terms.
Hmm.
And I was like, I was listening to him and I got what he was saying because when he brought me back, the women's division was dormant, for a while.
Sure.
And so not that the women's division was dormant then, but it was in the Divas era and it was, it was good. I mean, but it was different. Every era
Yeah. Very
has its
different.
evolution. Yeah. And so Attitude Era, Divas Era. And
Hmm.
so he goes, we're on to something. And I believe that you could be a great jump start, to this. So exactly during that time when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame and their whole transitioning, when it happened, I knew exactly what he meant. And that was they got rid of the the Divas division. They brought back the women's title and it became the women's revolution, evolution of women again. And they brought back that women's title and the hard hitting and some good wrestling.
Hmm.
And so it was my style from back with the Bull Nakanos and the Ajikongs and the Chigusas and my Japanese style that I fought so hard for to bring it back here to the States and bring back a little bit of Japanese and American together.
Sure.
So being the first woman that actually, lived over in Japan and did that for 3 years, I mean, my heart will always be there. Respect so much, and I earned their respect. And it's it's not difficult, but I mean, it takes a lot to get their respect. That that you're there for not just fun and traveling, but you're there for a serious situation. So when I saw that happening with Vince and what they did, and when they dropped that title and brought back the women's title, I thought, yeah, that's exactly what he meant. And I was so ahead of my time, Gerald. I was so ahead of my time that today's women's wrestling was my wrestling back then.
Auto
Yeah.
dealers, do you know where your vehicles are and when they'll arrive? Hey, I know the inventory management challenges dealers face, so I'm certain the answer is a resounding no. But Montway Auto Transport can change your answer to a confident yes with the Montway Automation Portal, better known as MAP. MAP offers a smarter way to move and manage orders while giving you end-to-end visibility of all inbound and outbound units. You can upload VINs, get pricing, dispatch the orders, and track every unit on the dashboard. Leveraging MAP can save you time and money and get vehicles to your lots quicker to sell. With MAP, You can book, track, and manage your inventory from one revolutionary platform. See MAP in action at www.montway.com/WS. Write this down. It's www.montway.com/WS. Put your dealership on the map. And then the logo is right there underneath as well. Definitely reach out to Montway Auto Transport. Go to montway.com/WS to get more information about MAP.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I mean, it's amazing that you had a main event level WrestleMania match, and you've had multiple ones, and you can see your influence in Charlotte Flair, in Bianca Bel Air, and
Oh,
Reha Ripley,
oh,
because it is a legitimate, and to be fair, over in AEW, Tony Storm, Impact, Deonna Purrazzo, Britt
yes.
Baker, you're seeing actual wrestling matches, whereas for a while the Divas was more of a, I don't know, much more on an entertainment side than the sports entertainment.
Mm.
And now it's kind of segged back to really more of what you established with that blend of sports entertainment.
Finally.
Mhm.
I am so happy with women's wrestling right now. It's not directed towards any women individually. It's the sign of the times that
Yeah,
what the corporations were doing with it. You know what I mean? They've
sure.
always had the men's style. You know what I mean? Hard hitting, good wrestling, good
Oh, yeah, yeah.
storylines. But they just never had it with the women. And it was why did it take so long when they could have been doing this for so long? Is because women have always, I know this sounds so repetitive, but women have always been that extra. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Extra sideshow, extra enhancement, all the way back to the Marilyn Monroe days. And it was just, they were good to look at. And so they just threw them in all of these cheesy things. And it was disrespectful for the ones that really wanted it, and then they're the ones there were ones that actually, stuck it out because they wanted the paycheck and that's what they had to do and it was their job and God bless them. You know what I mean? It had to
Sure.
be a hard decision because I mean, I didn't stand for it. I saw women's wrestling changing and they were forcing me into these nightgown matches or whatever, evening gown matches and barbecue
Sure.
matches. And I'm like, I'm peace out, man. I've worked way too hard and you guys do you. I'm retiring. And that was in
Well, and
2001.
yeah, and people are really somewhat forced into the role, which is, I think it's good now that you have more options, because for a while when WCW was bought out and really was on the verge of falling with the
Mm.
Turner networks, there was WWE. That was really about the only option. Now you have all these promotions across the country, including the NWA that you're working with, Billy
Yes,
Corgan bringing
sir.
back the NWA.
I love the NWA, and I mean, I love Billy. I love Billy's mind, and Billy's mind blows me away sometimes because he's very knowledge. I mean, he knows wrestling, and all the way back in the days. So, like, even having a conversation with him, he'll say something. I'll say, "Wait a minute, I might have to look that. I got to look that up. What the heck?" And he loves, you know, it, Billy doesn't need the NWA. The NWA needs Billy because he revived it and it's a very respectful acronym. You know what I mean? And it's
Hmm.
just a great organization. And I love the old school, the old style, the TV, the TV vibe, that it's so soothing and it's different than any other platform on there. We are wrestling,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's a lot of characters in there. There's a lot of, fun moments. But you're going to see a lot of upcoming talent and talent that have fallen and almost given that second chance type of thing. And
Hmm.
so Billy really believes in that. And I think it's amazing.
And you're working with the NWA as a coach, producer for the
Yes.
women's side?
Yes. Yes. So when I got a call from Pat Kenny, he's like, Deuce, what you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I'm doing this. And he's like, well, you're missing your calling. How about being a producer, an agent, and working with the kids? And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've basically, helped, educate them through the years. They would call or DM or email or whatever, and or go to their matches and, just, lend a helping hand. So why not, do it as a job? There's something that you love that it's always going to be in me, my blood. You know what I mean? As
Sure.
they say. So, and same with monster trucks. I hope monster trucks evolve and they have a legends situation, but they have nothing like that. Like it's just zero. So
Really?
I'm making noise with monster trucks now. I'm always trying to put something out and gather the old timer. When I say old timers, legends, and trying to get all of us legends together to create something. So again, facilitating that,
Yeah.
and trying to make something with that as well. So, always
Well,
creating something.
trying. Got to keep working, right? Got to keep
I
going.
know, I
Just,
know.
I did want to ask you because I mentioned some of the champions. I held out one who's actually been a very impressive champion. Started out basically as the valet for Nick Aldis, the national treasure, and now your NWA Women's Champion, Kamille.
Mhm.
What's it been like working with her?
Camille is very I mean, there's a huge future for her. And Camille has the look and she has the confidence. And she isn't stopping when it comes to training and wanting to learn and to search and to go out. And to me that's a great champion because once you close those doors and figure, "Hey, I'm here. I don't need to do this. I don't need to train anymore." You've lost them.
Hmm.
They're gonna need a rude awakening. However, she's got the door open. And I believe Camille needs a good push as far as she needs to grow. She needs to expand. She needs a good challenge. She needs something. She really does. And whatever that is that NWA has planned for that situation, I'm sure all eyes need to be on that for a while.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely keep a
Yes.
lookout. The women's division
Yes.
definitely growing in the NWA. Um,
Mhm.
just swinging back to the monster trucks. How did that come about? Because that is quite a difference, and I can't recall too many other female monster truck drivers.
No, there are now, but there wasn't when I was driving with Monster Jam. There was zero. So when I got that call from Mike Weber, he used to work with WCW and WWF at the time,
Okay.
different times. And
Hmm.
then he left WCW and he started working with Monster Jam. And so he called me like in 2000 and he's like, or 99. And he's like, "Deuce, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Mike, oh my gosh, how are you?" A lot of these stories are in my book. We'll get to that too,
Yeah.
The Woman Who'd Be
Oh,
King. So
absolutely.
yeah. And
Available
so
on Amazon.
yeah. And so I'm like, "Oh, I'm so out of wrestling, Michael. This, the way yeah, the deal, Michael, the way they're treating women. I'm out. Peace out after almost 20 years. I'm out." And so he goes, "Well, good," because I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We're looking for a woman that could, maybe drive a monster truck. I mean, you're kind of a gearhead. You ride Harleys and dirt bikes." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Have you ever seen a monster truck or been to a rally?" I'm like, "No." "You mean those trucks with the big mutter thingies?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Those are cool." I go, "I got a couple big trucks." And he's like, "Yeah, something like that." I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He goes, "Well, can you come out and test drive one?" And oh my gosh, the story is remarkable. It is in my book. And
Yeah.
so 20 years later, I mean, I like the first couple years, like 4 years into it, I became the racing champion and it's like the world champion. And I beat the legendary Dennis Anderson of Gravedigger. He was my mentor, my teacher, and it was incredible the story I tell in there. It was incredible. And so watching that happen, and then years later, we finally got one woman and she didn't stick around too long. And then there was another one and she didn't stick around. And then we finally started getting some. So it takes a very rare breed, you know?
Yeah.
And
This
so,
is a different event
oh,
and not
yep,
entirely safe either. This is
there
from
you go. Yeah.
one of your
Isn't that
Insta pictures.
crazy?
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had, your fire suits and your fire gloves and your boots and your helmet and whatnot. But when that is on fire, you have like probably 30 seconds to get yourself out of that, if that, get yourself out of that truck as fast as possible and just, tuck and roll. And I mean,
And
because
you're up
that
there a ways,
suit,
so kind of hard
whew,
to get out too.
it is, especially if you're upside down, because then, the truck's got to come screaming in and they got to cut that plexi out of your
Hmm.
windshield. And oh my gosh, yeah, you just pray to God.
So definitely two very low risk, easy going career choices. Little
Yeah, no
wrestling and
problem.
monster trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
So
baking, just like a cake. Not really. Yeah. Thrill seeker. I am.
yeah,
Yes.
and then get into doing the book and
Well, that was
the
during the pandemic. What else do you
okay,
do? What else do you do during a pandemic? Is write a book, right? You have lots of
sure,
sex with your partner, your husband or wife, or and you write a book, and that's it.
that's
And
fair enough.
so, and then John Arezzi, I mean, he was a promoter. He hired me like back in the '80s, and we went across seas, and so he wrote a book, and it's called Matt Memories. It's really good, and ECW Press was his publisher. And so I was like, oh, okay. All right. You really do. So you need to write your book. And I'm like, I've been writing a book for years, like, over 40 years of my entertainment
Hmm.
world. And so I've tried to, like, I wanted to publish it like 2, 3 times. And the timing's everything. And I never did. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe it is time. And sure enough, ECW Press jumped right on it. They were really excited. And we had this great relationship. And Greg Oliver helped me put my words into words that, like, when people read it, the number one feedback I get when people read it, they're like, it is like I'm sitting in my living room and you are actually talking to me while we're having a beer or some tea or
Yeah,
just whatever. And I'm like, that is it. That's exactly what we
there you
wanted.
go.
So success.
Conversational.
Yeah, very. Yep.
Then people who see the cover, the forward is by the wise man himself, the advocate Paul Heyman. And if you're
Oh,
only familiar with him from WWE, he was the person behind ECW. And before that, Paul
oh.
E. Dangerously with the Dangerous Alliance. And there you are. So how did Paul Heyman get involved in the book?
Well,
Because
Paul and I have been
definitely
friends.
a
We've
person
been
who's
friends
got his
since
fingers on the
AWA.
pulse.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Okay.
overtalk you.
No, you're
So
good.
Paul and I have been friends since AWA, and I mean, close friends. I love him dearly. And so I was talking to him and, saying, hey, I've been writing this book, and he's really excited. And then so it was getting really close. And I was, saying, hey, I was just wondering, could you write the foreword? And he's like, I would be, "Ah, I would be upset if you didn't ask me, And I'm like, yes, all right, that's awesome. And so he goes, do you have a title for it yet? And I go, yeah, I do. I have two. I have two titles and I just don't know which one. And so he goes, The Woman Who Would Be King. I'm like, what? The Woman Who Would Be King. That's you. That's the book. And I'm sure enough, this is exactly what we went with. So that's all Paul. Again, the wise man.
Yeah.
It's
Now
incredible.
that is, yeah, that's a great connection. And talk about somebody who's had an influential career. He's still involved in the number one
Mm.
story going in pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's a great mind, since day one. We've all gone through our adversities in this business and we have all learned and made mistakes. However, some of us continue to grow and learn from it. Some of us just, accept or move on or whatever. But as with Paul, he's doing something right.
Well, and I think something that is definitely, I've talked with different champions, different trainers, some
Mm.
entertainers since starting this podcast up during the COVID era. Something that highly successful people have in common is they never stop. They just keep
No.
doing things.
Oh,
And
my
you're a great
husband.
example of that because writing a book, got your podcast going,
Yes, thank
paving the way
you.
with Madusa.
Yes.
What else is going on with you right now? What What
Well,
else have
I'm
you
okay.
gotten into?
The book is on my Prime because I'm doing little tours with my
Sure.
book and some signings and stuff like that. So that's taken precedence over a lot. However, I still have my podcast that I'm doing. When I first started into the business right before, I was doing a few movies, like I did Street Fighter, Shoot Fighter, Inner Sanction with Margot Hemingway. Mariel
Okay.
Hemingway.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like, and I choreographed a few of my cage fights and some of them. And I left that to go into wrestling as well. So full circle, I just jumped right back into movies, and I just did my first movie again, coming back in. It's called Champion, and it absolutely ignited a fire underneath me. And so it doesn't matter how old you are, how young, it's what your desire is. Now, I'm not jumping into it to say, hey, I'm going to win an Emmy or a Golden Globe, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
So crazier things have been done. And at 60 years old, I mean, I am not stopping. If my grandmother is 100, which she is, and she still drives her truck and she's up and down the stairs, she still sews, reupholsters furniture, she's not on any meds. And so
It's amazing.
yeah, it has to be the genes. So I'm going to fight as hard as she does. And her secret is keep moving. Do not
Don't
sit.
stop.
Keep moving. No matter what, when you're tired, exhausted, keep moving. And of course, you got to have those days where you're just, you need some quiet time and you're taking the time for yourself. But sitting hours and hours and hours like we do in front of our computers nowadays, I make sure I always have like a beeper timer thingy, and it's like, let me know, stand up, move, because I get carried away a lot. I'm trying to work a lot on the computer, and that's killing us in our generation now. And you're just sitting. You can work out, do your thing, but you got to keep moving.
Very true. Yeah. It's especially if you're nursing the injuries along. The more you sit still, the worse they get.
Oh, it does. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I beat up my body more than my grandmother did. And I can feel it like maybe more in my hands than anything. It's like, oh, my hands, my fingers. But, you just try to eat right and take your vitamins. And
Sure.
yeah.
Well, hey, let's move into the championship round here. We got the dealership rescue title for you. Just a few quick questions.
Okay.
4 quick ones.
Okay.
One of your podcast subjects, the championship match, probably the biggest topic in pro wrestling right now. Should the American Nightmare have beaten Paul Heyman's advocate, or Paul Heyman's guide, the tribal chief Roman Reigns, for the undisputed Universal WWE title?
Well, without knowing the storyline and not being behind the scenes, what can you say, really? So, a lot of fans feel like, without knowing where the longevity is, where the plans are, they automatically feel like that he should have. But I feel, if it was me, that if I was going to build Cody back into this, I would beat him down. And because I know that Cody could be the new face and carry this company. I said either two things. One, it's a horrible receipt from him leaving and going to AEW and smashing the chair. Or, again, I don't think they really dwell on that so much. They may giggle or think about it, but I think in longevity is what's best for business. And I think that losing to Reigns, and you could tell that Cody had an amazing time during that match. That match was incredible. It was an incredible match. And I just, oh my God, I love that kid so much. And both of them are just incredible talent. And so I was like, all right. Cody did the job. This could go somewhere. This is awesome. And then the whole thing with him and Brock later, I'm like, now this is really going to piss some people off. But this is phenomenal, because this even gives more reason that when Cody does come back and he wins whatever is going to happen, he's going to be on the top.
Yeah.
And
sure,
he's going to be
behind
that
him.
new face like a Cena, like The Rock, like you know what I'm saying? You
Sure.
can't just boom, give it to him. It doesn't mean nothing. And right now, the way they're doing storylines with the bloodline and whatnot is example of what it could be. And so with me saying that, this is exactly what they need to do with women. I've never seen a storyline longer than a month for the women. And I
Sure.
feel that if they did build something like this, women could headline and mean something WrestleMania and carry it. But you're only as good as your group. You're only as good as your marketing team. You're only as good as the people behind you writing the stories, the creators. You're only as good as the ring, the people that put it up. God forbid the ropes break. But then again, it's all up to you and about your talent and how you deliver and how much you practice and whatnot. So it's you, but there's so many involved, there's just not
Lots of
just
layers.
that. Yes, so many layers, peeling the onion. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, people just lose that. Like they forget, but if we had the creativity of writers to write a great epic storyline for the women more than a month and make it build something and make it something, it could actually headline one of the days in WrestleMania and carry it. And if they choose the people wisely, the women that can carry and promo and whatnot. I had a great idea. I think we just need to bring back a DA and have a woman lead it. And I go up against Paul E and then have my new version of women. I'm just
There
saying.
you go. Bring back the Dangerous Alliance. Well, and it's a great point,
women's version. That's right.
Yeah, because your women's match, Bianca Bel Air against Azkua, was literally a 1-month storyline, and people said it was a great match, but there wasn't anything to it.
It was okay. There was a lot of stumbling over, kind of, and God bless them both. I mean, and I know they wanted it and probably did it and spoke about it and maybe practiced a bit, but to have a storyline for only a month, you know what I mean? It pissed me off for the girls, really. And I was so upset about it just because I wanted more for them. Sometimes people take it to heart like I'm talking about the women personal. It's not personal. It's the creative end. Like we need more for the women. Sure. We really do. And I mean, in the Charlotte and Rhea match, it was good the second half until the end. Again, the first half, it was getting going. There was a little momentum and, And then about midway, it started taking off because a lot of the false finishes were great. So again, how long was that going for?
Not very long at all. Charlotte hadn't much.
No. And so they have now until WrestleMania to start building something. Again, if they don't do anything this year, I mean, what does that tell you? Yeah. Is it really in their plans? Just like Evolution, a pay-per-view. It was there just to, I think, just to say, hey, we did it.
Yeah.
They never did it again.
Just one more here, and then we'll wind it down. What will, because of your time in Japan, what will Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, what will she learn differently or experience differently wrestling in Japan for New Japan?
Well, first of all, I think it's great. And, her and oh God, who was the other one that left with her? I forgot.
Oh, Naomi. Trinity Fatu.
Trinity, yes. So I was trying to think of her real name, Trinity. So Naomi, Trinity. And when those two left, when they were still champions and just, gave them the titles back, I thought that was a very bold move. They were trying to, let them know, hey, we want more. I get it. I wasn't there. I don't know everything. However, it's like Mercedes was able to move forward. And Trinity, I don't know what happened. you know? I would have loved to see her stay in the WWE or go off and do other things. And maybe she is. She's got other plans. Maybe she's acting. Maybe she's going to go to Japan. Maybe she's going to go back to WWE. I don't know. But she sure is missed. But as far as Mercedes, she was determined. She had a plan. And she knew where she was going and what she wanted to do. You just don't go one day, this is going to happen, and that happens, and then all of a sudden you're Japan. This was well thought out a little bit. Kind of having an idea what she wanted to do. So for her going to Japan, you definitely have to have an open mind. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different wrestling style. And thinking that you know it because you've wrestled Kairi Sane or you've wrestled Asuka, no. Once you're over there, and if you get accepted to stay there full time, I would love to see someone stay over there for a full year. I was there 3 years.
That's a lot of
And
time.
so, yeah. And so there hasn't been anyone that I know of after me that stayed there. And to learn their culture, to gain their respect is very difficult. And you've got to show them that you want it, that you're not just there for the money, no pun intended, but they want to see that you're there to work. So I heard that she may be going over there full time. So, and that opened up my heart, and I was like, well, you know what? Damn straight. That's awesome. And so let's see what happens, because I want the best for her. And going over to Japan will always have my heart. When Rossi Ogawa owned Stardom, I went over there a few times and I became the commissioner of Stardom. And so you never know. I might pop up and say, hey, wait a minute, Mercedes. I am the commissioner here. What better would there be? I mean, hey, you want to be champion, you're going to have to go through me first.
So you're getting back in the ring.
No. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. But I really wish her the best. It's amazing over there. It's fun. It's all fun and all of that at the beginning, but once you get going, it's no joke.
No, and
it's nothing like WWE. I'm sorry. That was plush.
Like a major league sport.
Yeah, that was plush
different.
life. Plush life was WWE. Japan, oof.
Well, it's been a lot of topics, and we kind of went pillar to the post in the ring.
Yes.
Get back to the book here, The Woman Who Would Be King, the Madusa story, available on Amazon, probably anywhere you get your books, and you can read the foreword by the wise man, the advocate himself, Paul Heyman. Madusa, thanks a lot for joining us here on Wrestling with Sales by Montway Auto Transport. We appreciate your time and look forward to connecting again, maybe when the book goes out on paperback.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It should be on audio soon, probably in about 4 to 6 months.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks.